Number 10. Imagine. Imagine from John Lennon's 1971 album of the same name is among the most recognizable and critically and commercially successful singles of all time, and it's easy to see why. Lennon's call to universal peace by tearing down the political, national, and religious borders that divide us speaks to people for a variety of reasons, especially due to its overall mass applicability to international conflicts even after the Vietnam War. Inspired by a prayer book and the poetry of Lennon's wife Yoko Ono, the song serves to communicate Lennon's vision for British socialism in particular. It's a good song, don't get me wrong, but outside of the context of the album, it's honestly sort of an overrated wish fulfillment piece by a wealthy and perhaps abusive person. Dare I say it, the song's universal appeal can be attributed to its vagueness and profitability. Lennon is an incredible artist, but even after the Beatles, he's done more interesting things than this song, and not just in music. Have you seen Lennon and Ono's film Rape from 1969, for instance? Wow, just wow. And as far as music videos go, Yoko Ono's Fly from 1970 sure is something to behold. Lennon and Ono actually produced a film that was released in conjunction with the Imagine album. However, this list defines music videos as short films that correspond with a single song. So the Imagine music video I'm speaking of was created years later.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
No, not that one. It was in 1986 that Imagine was turned into an experimental music video by a certain Polish avant-garde filmmaker named Zbigniew Rybczyński. I tried. Rybczyński is probably best known for his animated film Tango from 1981. He is acclaimed for his contributions to digital cinematography, including pioneering research into blue screen and green screen compositing technology. His music video ventures include collaborations with various musicians, such as Mick Jagger, Lou Reed, Yoko Ono, and Rush, among others. One of my favorites is Take 5 from 1972, set to the song of the same name by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. Imagine is said to be the very first music video to be produced using high-definition technology. The music video assigns Lennon's song to a family as they appear to grow over the years. The camera takes us down a seemingly never-ending cross-section of the house. Characters enter and exit rooms as they enter and exit new stages of their lives. We see the unity and evolution of an American family through a series of relatable life experiences, as well as some zany hijinks. It is weird and wonderful going from childhood to adulthood, and then presumably the cycle will continue. It's honestly beautiful. Do check this and Rybczyński's other films out. You'll find something to love. At least, that's what I would imagine. Number 9. Love is a message, the message is death. Due to a series of mental health complications, grief, negative influences, and bad choices, the artist we all wanted Kanye West to be, the artist he once was, is sadly a phantom. Before falling into the trappings of right-wing conservatism, Nazism, and quite frankly, a string of crappy records, Ye was a commercially and critically acclaimed singer, songwriter, producer, and fashion designer, and was even known for his outspoken views about racial inequality in the United States.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Ye's discography definitely has its ups and downs, but when he's good, he's really good. His music video work is notable too, including the musical film Runaway from 2010, that he directed and starred in, released in conjunction with his studio album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which features him in love with a phoenix.
Your girlfriend is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you know she's a bird?
No, I never noticed that.
When his seventh studio album, The Life of Pablo, was released in 2016, a music video for the track Famous was released, and it's kind of bonkers and well worth a watch. The opening track to Life of Pablo, titled Ultralight Beam, stands out in particular for taking influence from soul and gospel music, fittingly because it is about West's faith in God. The song features the talents of gospel singer Kirk Franklin with a 10-piece choir, as well as the likes of R&B singers The Dream and Kelly Price, and rapper Chance the Rapper. The track opens with a sample of an Instagram video featuring 4-year-old Natalie Green confessing her love for God, and the title, Ultralight Beam, refers to the connection between God and humankind. The track serves as the musical centerpiece in the avant-garde short film Love is the Message is Death, released in 2016 by filmmaker Arthur Jafa, who would later go on to direct an official music video for the song Wash Us in the Blood by none other than Kanye West. In Love is the Message is Death, Jafa highlights key moments in African American history and film, ranging from archive footage of the civil rights protest, cell phone camera roll videos, TV performances, movie clips, dashcam footage of police brutality, and footage from Jafa's own 2013 film, Dreams Are Colder Than Death, all to paint a broader picture of Black identity and culture in the United States, and in turn pave the way for Black representation in the avant-garde that stands in defiance to the systems of control in the United States. One might disregard the utility of including watermarks on the archive footage, but this serves to illustrate that even Black history and Black culture has been commodified and owned, so to speak, by predominantly white institutions. Such institutions want to paint themselves as either being or on the path to being past racism and exploitation, and they preach the message of love, but alongside that message is another, darker message, and that is the message of death. In other words, white people celebrate and appropriate Black arts and culture because, systematically speaking, they love Black culture more than they love Black people. Death may be the end, but love must always come first. This love flourishes not within the systems of control, but outside of them, within the marginalized communities. Number 8. Wyclef Jean. Jeffrey Lamar Williams is an American rapper better known on the stage as Young Thug, and by the nickname Thugger. His career began with independently produced mixtapes before gaining mainstream recognition. He is perhaps best known for his eccentric vocals and fashion, with his sounds influencing contemporary hip-hop and trap music. Named after the Haitian rapper of the Fugees' fame, the song Wyclef Jean by Young Thug was included on his 2016 mixtape Jeffrey, and was released as a single in 2017. Thugger conceptualized a music video to be released alongside the single, but director Ryan Stake and the video production service Pomp&Clout were left in shambles when the musician failed to show up on set, and they were met with a series of unexpected obstacles, which forced them to take a new creative direction for the video. The music video functions as a piece of clever and jovial meta-commentary told through on-screen text and visual aid that details all the issues that Stake and his team experience due to unexpected circumstances. Stake speaks in jest, but the frustration is captured between the lines and in his wording. Thugger pitched the idea of bad bitches in kiddie cars and the juxtaposition of children driving police cars that get wrecked by the bad bitches' bats. While Stake was able to capture some of what Thugger wanted, he was left with a lot of B-roll and incomplete pictures due to poor management and communication with Young Thug and his representatives. As a result, he was left with a compromised vision. Due to a variety of circumstances, including getting his social media hacked, producers and lawyers revising ideas, law enforcement cutting down production, and so on, Thugger was unable to show up to any of the planned shoots and never even met the director in person. However, he was able to send in footage of him eating Cheetos and fooling around on an airplane. Executive producers also pushed the artist to make changes to the project by fixating on little things. For instance, one of the models wore a blue swimsuit. That wasn't good, so Steak fixed it in post, to hilarious effect.
All right, just got word the video's canceled.
He pitched some more transgressive ideas, like ladies on leashes pulling Thugger's kitty car. This was, however, shut down for its potential impact on impressionable children, despite the nature of the song's explicit lyrics. He wished to reference Darren Aronofsky's 2001 film Requiem for a Dream, only to be shot down by the legal team.
So what are we gonna do now?
Only to then make implicit reference anyway. Everything went south, and the great irony of it all is that Steak's original idea behind the music video was to document Young Thug lighting the video's budget on fire, a story detailed in images played in rapid succession. In the end, the music video was effective, funny, and experimental too, and probably better than anybody would have expected. It would later go on to win the MTV Video Music Award for Best Editing in 2017, much to Young Thug's confusion, since he didn't know he had won an award. Number 7. The Third Reich and Roll. Where do I begin with The Residents? This American experimental rock band has been active since 1969, and has over 60 different albums as well as various multimedia projects under their belt. Little is actually known about this enigmatic band, including precisely who is actually performing on stage, as the musicians prefer that attention be directed at their art itself, and not at the artist. When the band members perform on stage, they generally remain silent when they aren't singing, and don bizarre costumes, such as eyeball masks with top hats, to complement their equally bizarre music. The Residents remained in relative obscurity for many years, but eventually developed a cult following, and finally found wider attention when MTV came around and began airing their music videos, which are really, you guessed it, bizarre. These music videos more or less revolutionized the direction subsequent music videos would take, by being as alien and eclectic as possible. Some of my favorites include Hello Skinny and The Act of Being Polite, from 1979 and 1980 respectively. These avant-garde music videos are all fascinating case studies on their own terms, and especially in the context of the band's overall body of work. After their 1974 debut album, Meet the Residents began work on their second studio album, The Third Reich and Roll, released in 1976. Their record was a satirical look at pop music that samples, remixes, and deconstructs hit songs, including Hey Jude by the Beatles and Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. The Residents bring their signature unconventional sounds to seemingly repaint popular culture as being comparable to fascism, with parodic Nazi imagery used in the marketing. And no, the Residents have clarified they aren't neo-Nazis, though the precise message they were intending to communicate is ripe for analysis. The tracks from the album were edited into a singular piece that served as the music for a video they shot in 1976, that was later released on television in 1977, and then screened in theaters with David Lynch's Eraserhead in 1979. The music video borrowed the album's namesake, but was granted the alternative title, Land of a Thousand Dances, and had a runtime approximately of 4.5 minutes. The video was filmed using props and sets from their abandoned film project, Violinist Fats, and depicts the band dressed in newspaper costumes and performing their music and dance in a newspaper-covered room, before being shot down by the space lasers of the tinfoil aliens. The second part of the film features a stop-motion sequence continuing where their costume performances left off, as a cardboard Hitler overlooks a scene. The newspaper suits bear striking resemblance to the hoods worn by the Ku Klux Klan, which seems to be in line with the album's fascistic themes. However, the band clarified that the similarities were incidental, as the particular folding was the easiest way to construct that type of mask out of newspaper. The film embraces the comic eccentricities of the album, while also not shying away from visually depicting some of its darker themes. Well worth a watch. Number 6. Submit to Me. No-wave cinema was an underground film movement predominantly based in New York, between the mid-70s to mid-80s. The actual films that spawned from this movement were characterized by their dark and edgy aesthetic and subject matter, minimalistic guerrilla filmmaking, and shoddy and unrehearsed acting. This movement coincided with the no-wave music movement due to the emphasis on experimental and raw artistic productions. Notable filmmakers that emerged from this movement include the likes of Lizzie Borden, Jamie Nares, Jim Jarmusch, Vincent Gallo, and Abel Ferrara. And then there were those who were part of, more specifically, the Cinema of Transgressions movement, such as Kimbra Fowler, Gordon Stevenson, Nick Zed, and Richard Kern. Now, Kern is one of my favorite transgressive artists due to his uncompromising interest in photography on dark and sexual subject matter. Kern is celebrated for his work in film, including his shorts You Killed Me First, and The Right Side of My Brain from 1985, and Fingered from 1986.
Hey, what's wrong? Get in! Hurry up, what's wrong? Some guy, he just picked me up and he kept telling me was that he was gonna rape me and he was gonna kill me, and he had this big knife up to me.
His work with music videos include Sonic Youth's Death Valley 69 from 1985 and Marilyn Manson's Lunchbox from 1995. As I continue to stretch the definition of music video, I would like to direct attention to Kern's 1985 short, Submit to Me. This musical, horror, erotica explores the relationship between sex and violence, including the likes of sadomasochism, mutilation, suicide, and execution. We are treated to disturbing images of subjects hurting and killing one another, and gaining sexual satisfaction from doing so. The film features Kern's muses, Lydia Lunch, and Lung Leg, as well as the likes of Amy and Tommy Turner, Nick Zed, and Sonic Youth, as well as Richard Kern himself. This 9.5-minute short is set to the song Cherub from the 1984 album Psychic, Powerless, Another Man's Sack, by the band Butthole Surfers, who were characterized by their experimental rock, psychedelia, and noise music. The song sets the dark mood for the chaos that unfolds. This film is arguably pornographic in nature, but Kern's aesthetic interest transcend mere titillation, as the film quite aggressively argues sex necessitates a violence onto bodies. And all violence necessitates power, a person who enacts power, and a person subjected to it. A still from the film was used as the cover for Sonic Youth's 1986 album, Evil. The film went on to garner a 1987 sequel, Submit to Me Now, which treads similar waters but amps up the sex and violence to 11. That one actually might be better than the original. I am indecisive. Number 5. Breakaway. Bruce Conner was an American artist of many trades, having experience working with the mediums of assemblage, collage, drawing, painting, photography, and sculpting. Some of his most acclaimed short films showcase the potential for collage film, composed of found footage from different sources at the service of creating a new narrative, with its own political and artistic meaning. Some of his films can be categorized as music videos, or at the very least precursors to music videos as we understand them today. Such works include Terry Riley's Looking for Mushrooms from 1967, and Brian Eno and David Byrne's Mea Culpa and American is Waiting from 1981, among others. My favorite of his films will be revealed soon enough, but Breakaway from 1966 is what takes a 5th spot on this list. The film is set to the song Breakaway, and features singer Antonia Cristina Basilota, who is better known on stage as Toni Basil. She is a talent in her own right, being a choreographer, dancer, singer, actor, and director. She is perhaps best known for her song Mickey, which topped charts in 1981. Breakaway features Basil's music, as well as her dance, which is complemented by the rhythm of the song and the frantic editing that frames her body with liberating and symbolic value, celebrated in its contortions. As she dances about like a flame in a breeze, she also takes off her clothes and frees herself from all that encompasses her, her body bare and naked in a black void, while the cinematic form itself is broken too. And as the dance comes to an end, the sound and image play in reverse order. The circle is complete and invites revisiting. The film functions above all else on an emotional level, as we bear witness to three arts in one: music, dance, and film, pushed to their extremes to form something beautiful and new. Number 4. Free Radicals. Len Lye was an avant-garde filmmaker and artist from New Zealand, who was known for his experimental short films and kinetic sculptures. Within his career, he produced incredible works of animation and utilized experimental techniques, including painting directly onto the film cells, as observed in A Keller Box from 1935. And Gaspar Keller processing, which is seen in Rainbow Dance from 1936. And puppetry, as seen in experimental animation, also known as The Peanut Vendor from 1933.
Peanut vendor must go.
Perhaps Lye's greatest work is the abstract musical short film made by scratching directly onto the film stock with needles and arrowheads to create figures in motion, set to the rhythm and drum music by the African Bagarimi tribe. The result is white and gray scratchy figures dancing to the drum music. According to the Len Lye Foundation, the film reduces the cinematic medium down to its most basic functions, light and darkness, by scratching designs on blank film. On screen, his scratches were as dramatic as lightning in the night sky. The film went on to receive acclaim at the 1958 World's Fair by working experimental filmmakers. Stan Brakhage, in particular, is known for hailing the film as a masterpiece. Personally, I'm a sucker for the avant-garde, and seeing filmmakers push the medium or deconstruct it. That said, there has been a lot said about the visual component of the film, which is conceptually gripping, but not nearly as powerful as the traditional African music. The film is an international and intercultural art piece, given the fact that the film was directed by a New Zealander, screened in Belgium, scored in Africa, and scratched by an ancient Native American arrowhead for romantic reasons. The film in turn has been deemed culturally significant and preserved for all time by the US Library of Congress. Number 3. Eye Dreaming. When I first started getting into experimental cinema, I gravitated towards the diverse and expansive body of work by avant-garde filmmaker Stan Brakhage, who is often hailed as one of the most important and influential experimental filmmakers. Brakhage's filmography spans 5 decades and over 300 different films, most of which were silent and experimented with the form through techniques including painting directly onto the celluloid, quick cutting, film scratching, and multiple exposures. Through cinema, Brakhage took interest in creating visual poetry that unearthed universal experiences about the world and the human condition, including the peace of nature, the chaos of war, birth, death, love, and hatred, as observed in films like Anticipation of the Night from 1958, Window Water Baby Moving from 1959, Dog Star Man from 1961 through 64, The Act of Seeing with One's Own Eyes from 1971, Visions and Meditation from 1989 through 1990, and Seasons from 2002. The vast majority of his films were silent, allowing for the image to speak for itself. Therefore, the few films that incorporate sound stand out among his others, such as with Kindering from 1987. In 1988, Brakhage was undergoing one of the lowest points following the separation with his wife Jane. It was at this point Brakhage produced the autobiographical film I Dreaming. Brakhage made a collage out of the lines from various Stephen Foster songs, and through Joel Hartling's composition, set these lyrics to images he filmed in order to create a song of its own, one that is just as much picture as it is sound. Brakhage also scratched key lyrics onto film, such as Sweet Spirit and See the Dark Void. The abrupt twists and turns of the lyrical montage parallels the often contrasting visuals, such as time-lapse footage of his grandchildren playing, and relatively slow footage of an older Brakhage gasping for air and reaching towards the light. I Dreaming is ultimately a minimalist juxtaposition of the light and dark, the old and new, showcasing the beauty and melancholy of time and its effect on an individual. Like all Brakhage films, I Dreaming is open for interpretation, but the message on the paradoxical fact that living is synonymous with dying speaks truth into our existence, and has a memorable place in the artist's vast filmography. Number 2. Windowlicker. Richard David James, or more commonly referred to by his stage name, Aphex Twin, is an Irish-British musician and composer, known for pioneering an array of electronic styles in the 1990s, from acid house techno to ambient and jungle. His idiosyncratic music style is complemented by the music videos produced for him, especially those directed by British video artist Chris Cunningham, like Come to Daddy from 1997, and Rubber Johnny from 2005.
You feeling okay? You feel well?
Both great music videos in their own right. However, the music video that perhaps encapsulates what kind of artist Aphex Twin is would have to be Windowlicker, directed by Cunningham and released in 1999. The music video centers around two wannabe gangsters, ostensibly window shopping for women in Los Angeles, but to little success. The French word for window shopping is faire du lèche vitrine. Faire du lèche vitrine.
Faire du lèche vitrine.
I tried, which literally translates to licking the windows in some parts of the world. Windowlicker is considered an ableist pejorative to describe children with developmental disorders. In more colloquial use, it can simply mean moron or fool, which seems to be its application in this Aphex Twin single. The video begins with these two morons arguing with one another while attempting to get laid, only to be shot down by the women on the street, who ostensibly view them as not having enough swag. The mysterious dancer with Aphex Twin's face, who I'll just call Aphex Twin, in contrast, has all the swag in the world. Aphex Twin invites the girls in, and before long, the man's dance causes reality itself to distort, as his face is transposed onto the women as well, signifying Aphex Twin's domination of the street. Chris Cunningham and Aphex Twin channel R&B music videos while striving for a blend of parody and pastiche. As funny as the music video may be, it also operates in the uncanny valley by insisting on a certain aesthetic, undermined by the details, thereby transcending the formal conventions of the types of music and videos that Windowlicker is taking after. The music video has received some criticism for being both sexist and racist, though serious critical analysis in or against the video's favor seems lacking. Accusations of sexism arise due to the dehumanizing language the morons use to describe women. And despite the brief moment of putting the men in their place, they're literally stripped of their individuality, reduced down to their bodies, as sexual commodities in set dressing, props belonging to and celebrating Aphex Twin. As far as racism goes, the characters are reduced to caricature. Hyperbolic exaggerations and stereotypical essences of black people, who are eventually put in their place, so to speak, by the rich white outsider, who then takes the women for himself. The music video is satirical in nature, but that does not necessarily mean that it is shielded from criticism, or that it doesn't dig itself a hole, given the potential that the subject matter has to offend. It is kind of trans, though. Cunningham doesn't believe the music video to be racist, but also respects the opinions of his critics, given that he feels dissatisfied with other aspects of the music video himself. Regardless, the sheer creativity and transcendental surrealism places this video high up on my list because there isn't anything quite like it. It grips you from the very beginning, and you can't ever look away. It leaves you peering through the window, face pressed against the glass, and salivating at the oddity unfolding before your eyes. Number 1. Cosmic Ray. As you probably know, Ray Charles is one of the most influential musical artists in history, and is celebrated for popularizing soul music in the 1950s by combining elements of gospel, blues, jazz, and R&B styles of music, and in the 1960s, country and pop as well. His rhythm and blues song, What I Say, was released as a single divided into 2 parts in 1959, and grew in popularity due to its mixture of gospel and rumba influences, alongside more sexually themed lyrics, ostensibly merging the spiritual with the sexual. Unsurprisingly, the song was controversial. A live performance of the song served as the centerpiece for another Bruce Conner film, as well as my very favorite music video, Cosmic Ray from 1962. Like Charles, Conner pulls from a variety of different sources to form something unique and new. Following the trajectory of his preceding film, A Movie from 1958, Cosmic Ray is constructed through found footage of black and white film of a naked woman with a pearl necklace, newsreel footage of World War II, Mickey Mouse cartoons, television commercials, fireworks, and the nuclear bomb explosions, all played in rapid succession. The way I interpret this musical collage is as commentary on the American identity, sexual and spiritual, during wartime, synthesizing the United States history in conjunction with its culture. Orgasm is achieved when husband and wife unite, a union fractured by war. Fireworks serve the celebratory function of patriotism, success achieved through nuclear destruction, to serve family and homeland represented through the sultry woman. She dances around and changes costumes to signify the adaptability of the states. The soldiers fight for her, as well as the ideal image of Americana, sold to them through the capitalist consumer monoculture. The gunshots that are juxtaposed by cartoon gunshots in Disney animation demonstrate the role of nationalist propaganda infiltrating even the most seemingly innocent corners of American culture. The montage serves as a pendulum swing between love and hate, life and death, climaxing with the chaotic explosions that we fight for, as a backhanded celebration of the paradox of our own construction and destruction. Make love, not war.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.